Hi ladies and gents, Pond here with another video for Rise of Empires, Ice and Fire. Thank you so much for all your previous likes, comments and subscriptions to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, why not click on that button and ring the bell so you can get notifications whenever I'm dropping content on the channel. And now onto the topic of this video, and we have another new hero this week who has been released into the game, and it is Jeanne D'Arc. So that is the French pronunciation for Joan of Arc. So Joan of Arc is a patron saint of France and was involved in the successful defense of the city of Orleans in 1429. 9 days after she arrived bearing her banner, the English abandoned the siege. This was all part of the 100-Year War that we had with the French around 700 years ago. So let's get the first big point out of the way. Jeanne d'Arc is a exclusive hero. That means that she will need 34 copies, the same as Cleo did, the same as Alfred did. Now she's another cavalry hero, as Alfred was, and currently you can only obtain 6 copies of her, which are available in the sled event rewards. I would expect that to change next week as we go into the second stage of the Christmas events, the winter events, and also they're calling her the hero of the year. So I presume that over the month of December people will be able to get 34 copies. Of course, she's not going to be available for free to play or small spenders. You have to purchase packs to get more sleds, to generate more level 4 prizes to then exchange for the copies of Jeanne d'Arc. So this is going to be for the chosen few again, but of course I want to review her and see what her skills are going to do, and of course see how good she is. So this is just a first look at the moment to see what my initial thoughts are. She's a leading mid-row cavalry hero. Her strengths are to provide bonuses for the cavalry squad with prep skills. She also has impressive damage and treatment abilities. There's some recommended formations that we'll talk about later, and how to obtain the hero from in-game events of Season 2, S2 or later. So for spenders in the game from S2 or later, she's going to be available. If we go into the hero menu, we'll pop down and have a look at her skills. So here she is bearing her banner and obviously in some armor with her sword. As I said, exclusive hero, support hero, cavalry hero. Usual marching bonus, skill 2. The banner of Joan, so they've decided to use the anglicized name in this skill description. Combat skill, effective range of 4, so you really are going to want to put her in the middle row. It's going to target 2 random enemy squads, 1 round of prep, 50% chance to deal 477% damage to 2 random enemy squads. So that's a total of 954% damage. That's very good for a skill 2 to start within the valid range, and then make those squads take 30% more skill damage. So that's, you know, not a bad buff. That's middle range for the kind of skill amplification skill buffs. Obviously this combat skill itself is doing skill damage, so it's basically this second part is amplifying its own skill. Skills 3 and 4, the usual extra 50% resistance, extra 50% might for the troops in her squad. Skill 5, Confessions of War. Combat skill again, effective range of 2. It's targeting your own friendly squads and it requires 1 round of prep, but 65% chance to make 2 random squads of yours enter the revive status. Revive means some troop power will be restored when taking damage, with a 50% chance to restore some troop power, with a recovery rate of 81% when taking, and so to restore some troop power when taking damage lasting 2 rounds. Now, let's break this down a little bit. 65% chance would imply that 6 or 7 out of the 8 rounds this could trigger into prep. But then it's only got a 50% chance of activating, but that's not so bad because it lasts for 2 rounds. So, you know, even if it only does activate, say 4 times, say 3 times, say the initial skill triggers 6 times in a battle, but you only get the 50% chance on the troop recovery, that's still 6 rounds of troop recovery. And if you look at this recovery rate, so this skill description is very similar to Bleeding Steed's 8th skill, where he has a 50% chance to heal the troops in his legion every time they take damage. but that's only at 33% recovery rate. This is at 81% recovery rate. I think it's just under 3,000 troops healing at that rate. So that's a very high rate for a lot of healing, right? So once it triggers, you've got potentially 6 rounds, maybe even the whole battle of this really activating. I mean, this 1 round of prep, because it's lasting 2 rounds, it's almost not worth having the 65% chance. The other thing is that also, if it is quite a high percent chance, then if this activates in consecutive rounds, it could actually cover all 3 of the squads in your legion, right? So this is basically a better version of Bleeding Steed's 8th healing skill, and it does about 2.5 times the healing. So this is a very OP healing skill, in my opinion. Let's go on to, even though it is combat, so it could be silenced and suppressed, obviously, and confused. Skill 8 is Cavalry Awaken. She's gaining an extra 120% cavalry combat speed. So most likely she's going to be actioning first in each round that she's up in. That's the same amount of combat speed as Lorman. It's so if she was up against Lorman, then if she was defending, Lorman would go first. If she's attacking, Jeanne would go first. But it is slower than Rosen's combat speed. That's the only hero that's going to have more than her. Skill 7 is extra might, probably what you'd expect from this kind of support hero. And then skill 8, Siege of Orleans, is a prep skill, so triggers in round 0 will always be present. It's targeting cavalry squads, so you will have to pair her with cavalry squads. She's not going to be in a mixed legion with mixed troops. She will only be in cavalry only squads. And this will have 60% chance to skip 1 round of prep when casting prep skills. It can be triggered up to 1 time by each squad in each round. So they have actually upgraded this description, because I did feedback to the devs that it wasn't very concise how they had originally written it. So that's 1 chance for each squad each round to skip their prep skills, so it triggers straight away. Obviously that's important because she has a prep skill on skill 5, and she also has a prep skill on skill 2. So that's going to mean that they can trigger immediately, which obviously means that you can get more of them into the battle, and there's less chance of them being silenced and suppressed, as they're both combat skills. And then there is also this second point to her skill where it's giving 80% chance to increase the skill damage dealt by the hero squad by 86%. That is a very good buff, one of the best skill damage buffs we've seen in the game. I think it's probably the 3rd or 4th best single kind of buff. I know there's some stackable buffs from other heroes like Arthur, for instance, and Ramses that stack more than that. But 86%, and this will the results of each effect can be determined independently. So 80% chance, you're looking at 6 or 7 rounds of the 8 rounds. It's for her own squad, and it's increasing the skill damage by 86% of, it will be her skill 2. That's the only skill that's doing those damage. And obviously it will depend on if this skill 2 is activating, which only has a 50% chance. But of course it has the chance to skip the prep. So she has the potential to be a very, very good healer, and also deal a lot of damage and support the other heroes in her legion. Now, the devs did take the unusual step of releasing very detailed combination information for her. So let's have a quick look at this. So in terms of combos, for S2 to X1, they're recommending Black Prince, Jeanne D'Arc and Lionheart. Now, Black Prince can go on front row. His 8th skill is a prep skill requiring 50% chance. Lionheart is a ranged hero back row, so that all synergizes fine. And his 5th and 8th skills require prep. Then if you look onto the other combinations, you've got Warlord as well. Now, Warlord's 8th skill does actually boost prep related skills. On turns 1, 3, 5, 7, it gives the chance for prep skills, combat skills requiring prep, to skip that prep. So you would actually basically have 2 opportunities for those skills to be skipping their prep, and they're suggesting that you would combine Warlord and Jeanne with Lying Heart again. Or you could use, if you're, I think that would be an attacking combo, or you could potentially combine them with Roku. Now, if you look at Roku's 8th skill also requires prep, and this is going to silence all of the opponent's squads for 1 turn. So if this is skipping the prep as well, that means it can be triggering more times in the battle. So you could be silencing a lot of these skill-based opponents, which would be obviously very beneficial to be regularly silencing all of your opponents. So I think that's more a defensive combo. And then they've also said about having potentially Black Prince, Joan, and Living Saint / Jane. That's because Jane's 2nd skill also requires prep. It's only 35% chance, but it does target all of the enemy squads within range and does a good amount of damage. So those are kind of the combinations for earlier in the game. Then when you get to S2, you're looking at potentially Black Prince, Jeanne, and Avalanche. Of course, Avalanche's 5th skill requires prep, hack and slash, and that does a lot of damage. Then from SX10, you could then put in potentially with the Ava's skin, and the reason for that is because you want to have Ava's 2nd skill when the skin version becomes a prep skill, and obviously if Jeanne is then triggering that more, that's going to work perfectly. And then you can see in the most detailed description, so from SX12, where you get El Cid as a cavalry hero, I think for me this is going to be the most OP combo for this hero, which is El Cid, Jeanne, and the Avalanche skin, because El Cid on his 8th skill is increasing the chance of prep skills for the other heroes in the Legion, or the 2 other heroes in the Legion, by 15%. So when you translate that onto the skills for Jeanne, you're looking at an extra, well, it makes her skill 2 go increase to 65% chance, and her skill 5 increase to 80% chance. So those are huge boosts. Plus you're linking that with the skin version of Avalanche, that those 2 have prep skills as well, double prep skills. And then of course El Cid also has a prep skill. So you're giving the chance for all of those heroes to be triggering their prep skills, plus you're increasing the chances for them to actually do the prep skills, and you're getting this very good healing skill. So that could be potentially a very, very good combo. Don't forget as well, Avalanche has clarity, so she can't be suppressed or silenced. So you could get an awful lot of skills coming out of Avalanche when you already know that she's a heavy damage dealer in her previous guise, in her original version. So this skin version could be doing loads of damage from the 2nd and 5th skills, because that 2nd skill's got a massive increase in the damage. Plus Jeanne has got a very good amount of damage on her 2nd skill, and it's got that huge damage buff on her 8th skill. And then El Cid is kind of tying it all together with his combination of abilities as well. So I am expecting this combination to be very good, and I will be hopefully reviewing this combination once we have Jeanne fully available in the game for all players to get her. So currently my summary would be, yes, it's another exclusive hero. It's something obviously that it's another element of pay to win in the game, which I really wish they didn't do, these multi-copy heroes and exclusive heroes. I think there's already been so many layers in the game, or which, you know, people can't obtain being free to play or small spenders, and obviously it continues to get worse in that regard, and I understand everyone's point of view on that. In terms of, I wish these heroes we would have the ability for players to obtain copies of these heroes, even if it was a slow process. Like I've said before, top spenders acquiring these heroes are not going to mind if they have a 6 or 12 month period where they have the benefit of where they only have the benefit of these heroes. Then you could release these heroes onto normal banners as usual. You would still get other players like medium spenders spending money on the tickets to get these heroes because they seem to be premium. I don't know why it has to be such a big barrier in my mind. But in terms of her effectiveness, I think she's going to be very effective in later stages of the game, and potentially in earlier areas as well, because in those earlier stages you don't get a lot of skill activations compared to some of the later heroes from about SX6 onwards. So it'll be interesting to see. She's not that versatile in that obviously you have to be able to have cavalry heroes that require prep, but the players that are going to be trying to get her immediately, they will have all the heroes anyway. So it's kind of a negligible negative, I guess. So there we go. Of course, I'm sure there'll be some comments about this in the comment section down below. Feel free to leave your comments as usual, guys, and if you have liked this video, then please do click on that like, and if you could share this video and my channel in your alliance chat, province chat, and through line, WhatsApp, Viber, Discord, whatever you use to communicate with your fellow players in the game, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.